Hey! This is JJ and Alex.
I made a name for myself. I told you I won't be denied.
As you wrap up your day, it's time to get your fix of the teams you live for and the sports you love. This is JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome on in, everybody. Happy 3 o'clock hour to you. Thanks for being with us on the program. JJ and Alex, 97.5 KSL Sports Zone. Oh, my goodness. This is why I love the Olympics. Now, the Olympics are not hot radio talk, but just bear with me here. Don't we have that, not Freebird. We know Freebird. Because I left home with low expectations, JJ.
Why?
Team USA was down. There were 8 minutes.
You didn't believe?
Team USA is down 1-0 to Canada. And I told you yesterday, I couldn't remember if I said it on the air or off the air. I go, watch Canada sandbagging us in that first round. Like, oh, you beat us 5-0. Whoops.
I think they kind of sandbagged.
I still think they did. Because as I'm watching it, I'm going, oh, my goodness. These guys are the ones who win most of the world championships. And these are the guys. Our team's nice. No, it's a nice story. And they're obviously – it's 1A, 1B, and flop them around from year to year. But this is what it sounded like in overtime. They got a goal from Hillary Knight to send it to overtime. And then this is what the sound of gold sounds like.
The outlet pass for Keller, a defenseman. Nice move. Cuts to the net. Score! Megan Keller, the overtime hero. The United States wins gold and belong.
Freebird. You heard it in the stadium. Freebird started going. That wasn't you just plugging it in. That's what's great.
It's time to strike it up, though. It's time to strike it up. It's time to celebrate.
Why wouldn't we, man? Because I'm
What a goal. What a win.
What a win. I'll just
We have
say,
the best female hockey team in the world. Nobody's better.
You did it without knowing it. You're all, what a win.
What a win.
I will
Absolutely great performance.
Playing this music is great, too, because it's two things. Man, we need Team USA, the men's team, to show up and deliver a gold as well. It would be awesome. It would be a great cap on this thing. But if you watch the final goal of the game from Megan Keller, no relation to Clayton, in case you're wondering. But Megan Keller puts the type of move she put on is the one that you see in a movie that's a hockey movie that Hollywood plays. She gets it. She does this crazy backhanded deke to get the defender to bite, and then puts it backhanded into the goal underneath the goalie, and that was it. The golden goal. I love the golden goal format. It's just, I don't care what sport it is. The walk-off is just fun. You know what I mean? So
incredible. Golden goal. Gold for USA.
This is why I say
USA.
Come on.
USA. 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 USA.
Makes me feel good. Plus, taking home gold in the women's singles for figure skating. And, man, Amber Glenn had a great day, but she ended up finishing fifth because of how bad she was in the free skate. I love how we talk about this stuff like this is normal. That's what I'm saying. The Olympics do this to us. These are sports you never follow, really. I mean, we just aren't following the women's national hockey team, except for these every 4 years. Sometimes
That's why
at the World
this
Championships.
is a special event. It happens once every 4 years. That's why it matters so much.
I just mentioned the women's singles figure skating competition. Yeah, so look, it was good afternoon for Team USA, man. Great job. All right. Whew. Man, it's just exciting. I'm feeling the Freebird spirit over here, man. Love
Goosebumps watching that goal in was awesome.
Yeah, like I said,
great sports moment.
And these, by the way,
unless you live in Canada.
But these two teams, I definitely had to go and watch reaction videos of people who are Canadian fans. That's what I do. I seek out the awesome ones, the fans going wild. But then I also want to kind of go over and see, how's that feel, buddy? Want to watch a couple of those live streams of somebody who saw it live and reacted, and they're from Canada, and it was devastation.
That'd be like in basketball watching Serbia hit a buzzer beater to win gold over the United States in the Summer Olympic
really would be.
Games.
That's a great comp because
Canada hockey's hockey's Canada's sport.
Right. Yeah. And
They've owned Olympic hockey.
you just expect them to get gold almost every time. But I think these two teams, I don't know how many times they've met up in the last, it's been the last like 6 Olympics or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they like playing one another. Canada has come out on top more often than not. So, good for them. Loving it. Let's get the show started off here, though. We've got tons going on the program today. Full program, fully decked out. I watched this basketball game last night, and I was pleasantly surprised by the effort, and we knew it was going to be this way from BYU. But there was never really a point that you felt like BYU was in this thing against Arizona. That's where we're going to start the show off right here. Let's kick it off with the cut, top of the show. All right, so BYU right now 1-6 against top 25 teams this season. And AJ DeBonsa, phenomenal night. You said it best, JJ, when you got in here about AJ DeBonsa's performance and how well he did last night. And it's great to be good. It's better to win when you have that type of talent on your team. And I think what was the way you put it? That guy was obviously the best player on the court.
He was.
But that ain't enough.
It's not the best team, and that's clear.
Alex Napolis, our producer, rolled out maybe the most stark, the 100% reason why this team will not likely repeat what they did last year and go to the Sweet 16. Certainly not at this rate. And missing Richie Saunders, obviously, is devastating. And it feels even more so when you hear this stat. BYU last year was 15th nationally in bench points per game. 30 a game they relied on. When you're 15th in the country, you are relying on these guys coming off the bench and scoring. And we listed off the sharpshooters that you said that BYU doesn't have anymore, right? And
Dallin Hall as well.
Dallin Hall as well. Dawson Baker shows up. Gets kicked out of games sometimes, but but you know, those guys would come in off the bench and they'd make some points. And that was 15th nationally at 30 a game. BYU scores 11.8 points per game this season, which ranks them 351st in the country. If you're doing your math right, there are only 350-something Division I basketball teams that can compete to be in the NCAA tournament. So it is abysmal, and it is a roster construction that I think all of us know now is not a way that you're going to get to the Elite Eight or the Final Four, and probably not even to the Sweet 16 at this rate. And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be mean about this. Look, kudos to Arizona. Tommy Lloyd built a freaking roster. And when you're 7 or 8 deep, even when you have guys who are banged up a little bit, it doesn't matter because the depth is the thing. Ask BYU last year. The depth was the reason they did it. They got so many great performances. And so it's heartbreaking because of the Richie Saunders thing. And then you get the best play out of your phenom freshman who on a night that he passes up Danny Ainge for the most points scored by a freshman at BYU on the basketball team. That's a phenomenal stat, and it's tough to watch because it's his last year at BYU, and it might not be enough to even get you past the round of 64 or even certainly not 32 at this rate.
Yeah, the BYU box score is tough to look at. You did get some positive production out of Kennard Davis Jr., 10 points, hit a three-pointer, 5 of 5 from the foul line, so it was a good night for Kennard Davis. But you have A.J. DeBonsa with 35, Kennard Davis with 10, Rob Wright only 13. Nobody else on the roster scored more than 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 players that saw minutes last night didn't score at all. That's not a winning combination, and that is the reality for BYU right now. It's tough. Now, is it all on injuries? I mean, you certainly make that case, and I think that we've talked to a lot of people. We talked to Jonathan Tavernari, who follows this team and this program as closely as anybody does, and has more passion for this program than anybody I know. And he's looking at the rosters like, where are the guys? There's just not enough firepower. There's not enough guys contributing and making points. There's guys that are supposed to be making and taking threes that aren't taking them. Tyler Maruss last night, 1 3-point attempt in 7 minutes. Alexei Kostic, 1 3-point attempt in 13 minutes. Who's shooting the threes?
They
went 5 of 19 from 3 in the year 2026.
It's tough because
You can't do that.
Richie was good for 7 a game.
That's
right?
that was your
take 7.
sharpshooter.
To take 7 a game.
That was your sniper. It was Richie. And even that wasn't enough, in my opinion.
Nope.
But you had enough from the big 3 in different ways. And obviously, AJ's not a guy that's going to go out there and light it up from 3. He took 6 threes, made 2 of them. That's okay. Rob Wright, 2 of 5 from 3. That's okay. That's what you'd expect from those 2. But you can't have these guys that were brought in to do one specific thing not even trying to do that thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, don't those guys have to put up 3 or 4? That's what you do. That's why you're on this roster. And you're not even getting the attempts. That's what was stunning to me. So 6-3, doing the math in my head, 6 and 8, 14 of the 19 3-point attempts were by DeBonsa, Davis, and Wright. So there was Mihailo Boskovic, who was in the starting lineup, went 0 of 3 from 3, 0 points. Mihailo Boskovic is a veteran player who played a key role in this team last year. Another guy, one of those guys that contributed off the bench last year, one of the best benches in the country. And 11 minutes, 0 of 3. Like, the improvement hasn't been there. They're just not going to get enough out of this roster. And the front court isn't rebounding at high enough rate. There's a lot of flaws, is my point. And I think that's pretty obvious. But it's frustrating that they had all these flaws despite the injuries. Teams get injuries. And I know BYU's had more than their fair share. But you've got to build a roster that can overcome some of that. Arizona was banged up last night too. No excuse. They went out there and they got great production off the bench. Anthony Del Orso had 22 points, 4 of 8 from 3. BYU didn't have a guy that did that. And if they did have a guy that could do that, that game would have been a battle down to the end. But it was never a battle. It was never within more than, it was never less than 10 the whole way it felt.
Felt like it was 14 most of the game.
It was 42-35 at half, okay? Yeah. So that's a 7-point lead at half. It was even at half in the second half, but it never really got any closer than that. And it's disappointing. But you also understand why this BYU team is in this position. Now, back to what I said originally, is it just the injuries? Do you blame the injuries and it's bad luck and you just move on from that and accept that this year just wasn't in the cards because of the bad luck? Even though you had a once-in-a-generation player on this team that's only going to be here for a year? Or was there a roster-building issue here? And only BYU can answer that, and they're going to have to figure that out in the offseason. But I'm looking at the production from a lot of these guys, and it's clear that they got the wrong guys here.
That is a tough thing to say out loud, considering where this team was at the beginning. Well, where the team was since the commitment of A.J. DeBonsa to the team officially.
Right.
It's been a countdown of when are they going to get to the Final Four. And I've always hated that people were like, well, it's Final Four, boss. And I'm always like, what? There's no team that can – like, Kentucky is nowhere near that. You know, this is like and that's its whole other thing. But I'm saying – I don't care who it is. These teams who have these phenoms can't just put themselves in that. Now, those are fan expectations. Their fan expectations are, not reality, usually, ever. But
another thing to note about team building nowadays, back in the one-and-done era, when you had a lot of the one-and-dones at Duke and Kentucky and those schools, when there was no NIL, they were getting the best players every year. So they would have a lot of those one-and-dones, but they would stack it with some of those other good players that weren't quite ready for the NBA. Nowadays, you have guys staying in the college game because the money's there. And BYU's facing some teams that are veteran, and they've got grown men on their team. So the idea that a freshman is going to be able to come in and be the difference and get you to a national championship game, obviously now you're looking back on that and saying the expectations were probably way too high. Even with the roster they had, to be honest. I think you can't underestimate the impact that Richie Saunders had on this team's success.
Yeah.
And then you lose him, and all of a sudden, AJ's incredible. But you see just how much of a vacuum exists now without Richie there. And last night was a good example of that. Now, we're being pretty tough on this team because the expectations were so high. The effort was great. We're not questioning the team's effort
You knew there's a lot of emotion. We knew that was going to be the case.
And I'm criticizing some of these guys that they didn't shoot the ball and whatever. I don't know what the game plan was or what their specific role was, but you're looking at a box score, you just expect more. The box score isn't rating effort, and I'm watching the game. They gave effort. That team fought their tails off last night down in Tucson. That's not an easy place to win or play. But the facts are the facts. You're looking at the production and looking at the entire roster, and it's just not enough. There's not enough production from a lot of guys, especially off that bench. When you only get 6 points off the bench, that can't happen. You must get more. You must have more. And a lot of these guys are going to have to step up, and if they don't, then BYU is probably looking at a very, very short and disappointing March.
Yeah, and I think we knew that we were saying before Richie went out, it was like even the big three getting 80 points in a game doesn't actually – they did that against, I think, Oklahoma
Baylor.
State it was Baylor. And both Oklahoma State and Baylor both put up 90 points plus against BYU. One of them was a loss.
To me, it was concerning, and it didn't feel good because you can't rely on three guys at that heavy of a rate. It's not like Rob Wright had 39 last week. He only had 13 in Tucson.
Yeah. It's
Arizona's one of the best defensive teams in the country. So it's not like Rob is going to go down there and get 39. So what happens if Rob doesn't get 39? You saw what happened last night. They score 68 points and they get 4 points off the bench.
Yeah. If you also, asking both AJ DeBonsa and Rob Wright to fill in for Richie Saunders, they had games this year where, Rob Wright obviously has had insane scoring nights on a couple of these nights.
Oh, yeah.
AJ DeBonsa obviously has been doing what he's doing. Richie Saunders has had some phenomenal nights. But it's like all of them adding up to 85% of the scoring total. Those three, not just the starting five, those three. It's so hard to try to win in that fashion because there's the other part of where's the defense. And look, they held Arizona to a lot fewer points than
defense was actually better last night.
I think the effort part
Kebaketa played 30 minutes, 4 blocks. He looked better.
So the defensive part, when you talk about effort, that's where it shines out usually, right? Like if guys are making massive efforts and that emotional effort that they made, I think translated into some better defense. But I also think Arizona was just like, we're just going to wear these guys down. And they did. Because you slow down one of the top scorers in the country, one of the best in the history of BYU basketball, even just being here 1 year, and you're able to shut down the rest of the team because they don't have anybody else coming off the bench. Before we get out to the break, though, how about the Aggies inviting? Now they already won up in at Boise State earlier this year.
They swept the Broncos.
And Boise State, for all of its misgivings, it's one of the best teams in the conference scoring wise. And Utah State, phenomenal game last night at the SPAC, and they sweep Boise State. That always feels good. Massive win for them, and they're in the driver's seat, man. And they're just playing such great basketball right now.
They look great, and Coach Calhoun has just done a phenomenal job once again. There was a point, and it's funny how seasons always happen. Every team gets their adversity, right? And the Aggies had their adversity. They had that loss at Grand Canyon, and they came home and just had an absolute stinker in front of their home fans at the Spectrum. They get beat handily by UNLV.
Yeah.
And we're all looking at it like, what has happened this week? I don't even recognize this team. And Coach Calhoun called his guys out, not individually, but collectively, and challenged them. And they go on the road the next week, and they gut out a tough win at Fort Collins. It brings them together, and all of a sudden, this team has just been unstoppable ever since. What are they up to? How many wins in a row? 12? How many have they won in a row now?
Gosh.
I apologize. I don't have that stat in front of me.
If we were one of Scotty G's
I'm pulling it up
friends,
right now.
we would have known already.
I mean, yeah, Scotty would.
How dare you?
So, it's 8 in a row. 8 in a row.
Okay.
8 wins in a row. They are now 13-2. They have a 1-game lead over the Aztecs, who lost to Grand Canyon the other night. And obviously, Utah State beat the Aztecs already. They do play again later in the season. But this Aggies team looks even better than they did last year. Some different personnel. MJ Collins has been a terrific addition to this team. Adlan El-Amin might be the freshman of the year in the Mountain West. And Carson Templin has been, we speak about BYU's bench issues. When you've got a Carson Templin coming off the bench, See the difference? You see the difference in roster construction and a team when you have somebody like that, an Energizer Bunny, that can come out there and change the game in many different ways with their effort and their intensity. You have a chance. And they have some depth on that Utah State team. I love their roster. Mason Falsliff has been as good as expected.
Yeah.
That is a team that is looking great and peaking at the right time. I like their chances of not only winning a tournament game, but potentially, depending on their seed, if they get that 6-7, pulling off a win in the round of 32 and getting the Sweet 16 for the first time in a long, long time.
Yeah. Watch them be
Great team.
Watch them be a 6 or a 7 seed and BYU be a 9 seed.
That's where we're tracking right now.
How the turntables.
Go to KenPom.com and see where the rankings are. And Utah State and BYU fans, you get in the comments
Chat
and discuss.
amongst yourselves.
You can have your little debate because trust me, go look, you're going to find yourselves right next to each other in those analytical rankings.
You want a Utah basketball stat before we get out to the break here?
Sure.
Utah gets its first road win of the season at West Virginia last night.
Wow.
Phenomenal.
I didn't
effort.
realize it was their first road win.
Not only was their first road win, it was their first true road win in 399 days.
Wow.
Now, look, I'm not trying to dog them. They won the game. You know what I mean? Like, that's huge. By the way, you go out to West Virginia.
That's a good team.
It's a pretty decent team. That's a team.
West Virginia's a bubble team.
They've been toggling back and forth, and that's a massive, terrible loss for them because they were at home hosting a 1-11 in conference play Utah team.
They lost to the last place team in the conference.
And guess what?
At home.
Alex Jensen gets a win, the first road win of this season for the Utes, and the first true road win for this team in 399 days. I thought it was an insane stat. Okay, we'll take a break. Speaking of Utah, it's all brought to you by the good folks at U of U Health, University of Utah Health. Hope is in our DNA. Learn more at uofuhealth.org. That's uofuhealth.org. University of Utah Health, for you, for life. We will come back, and we've got we got a Shams bomb. The Shams bomb about what the league is going to do about tanking and anti-tanking. We'll get to it next. Stay here, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Accessing.
When TV and radio collide.
Love it.
This is what you get. You're listening to JJ and Alex
Don't touch that dial.
on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back, everybody. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Thanks for being with us today on the program. Happy Thursday. Join Scotty G and friends. Guess who his best friend is tomorrow? Scotty G and Kenny J's, man.
Oh.
That's right. He's going to be at Kenny J's barbecue.
I'd love
Noon
to
to
be
3.
friends with that brisket.
I want to cuddle up with that brisket, I'll tell you that much.
Oh, yeah.
Friends with benefits, that brisket and me. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Now I've crossed the line, huh, Annapolis? Oh. Did you say that on the air? You got to say that on the air. You have to.
Don't make brisket weird.
Yeah, he makes a fair point. Don't ruin brisket.
Hey, I am in love with brisket, and I'll tell the whole world. I'm not ashamed.
I think, Alex, Annapolis is just asking you to be careful how you express that love.
Oh, my goodness.
Express it properly.
Fine. It's down at the district. That's where Scotty G and Kenny J's are going to be teaming up tomorrow. You'll see Scotty G and friends noon to 3 tomorrow right there at the district next to the Megaplex Theater. Can't miss it because it smells phenomenal when you're walking over there. All right. So the tanking has reached a new thing. Look, I hate that we've been talking about tanking for so long, but guess what? There might be some solutions. Commissioner Adam Silver is, according to Shams, you got yourself a commissioner who feels like he needs to do something, not just say, hey, we threw a couple fines out there. The commissioner has informed the league's 30 general managers that the NBA plans to make anti-tanking rule changes for next season. Stakeholders have intensified dialogue about combating tanking. That's the tweet. The other thing that was said was multiple sources with knowledge on Thursday's GM meeting, as well as a late January competition committee meeting, told ESPN that the following concepts have been discussed to try to stop the tanking phenomenon. I was going to say, too, the competition committee, turning something around quickly is not easy to do with owners and general managers and everybody that's involved. because you have to get with the Players Association. You have to make sure that everybody, this type of stuff has to be. It has to be almost unanimous, which I think it is. It's got to be. The owners, of course, are going to probably have their thoughts on it. But here are some solutions, JJ. You tell me, and some of this needs some splaining. First-round picks can be protected only the top 4 or top 14 plus. Lottery odds freeze at the trade deadline or a later date. Now, that's interesting. So they have to play their butts off those last 26 games because we would have already determined the order of. So it would just be tanking for the first 58
It does
games.
you no good to try to lose games like after the All-Star break because it's not going to help your odds. So chances are you actually might put more better effort if you're trying to develop your roster, your young players, or just put the best players on the floor out there at that point in the season, and it wouldn't have such a negative impact on the results of the final 25, 30 games of the year.
It's an interesting look at how to do it, right? I mean, but I don't know. Like, ask yourself what that would do for the Jazz current roster. It wouldn't actually do anything because Jaren Jackson Jr., they found something in his knee and he's going to have surgery. Okay.
But if let's say Keontae George is healthy, which he's not right now, by the way, you're going to play Keontae and Lowry and Ace as much as you can together down the stretch, as opposed to trying to limit them or curb it a little bit. So it would actually make the Jazz a much more competitive team, and they would probably win a lot more games because of it. The Jazz would be incentivized to get those guys as many minutes together as possible.
Well, I think that
which would make them very good.
I think that the balance there was, and I think that the thought was, with Keontae George and a mostly young group, even with Lauri Markkanen on the floor 2/3 of the time or whatever it is he's been playing, and no Jaren Jackson Jr., you probably will still lose games at the rate that they've been losing them at, right? I mean, they've already overshot their win total according to what people thought they were going to do this year. And they have 26 games left. So the whole tanking part, that's a weird argument too. But you go, yeah, this team has won more games than everybody thought they were going to win anyway. And all the Vegas people who are mad, they should be mad the Jazz have won so much if you took the under, right? Now, I don't know who's going to take under on 17.5 games, but
that'd be a bad bet.
That's a really tough thing to make for a team who just doesn't really get there. Now, they won 17 last year, but I think everybody knew, well, certainly didn't know how good Keontae George was going to be. But regardless, this next one would likely be one that I think is going to get a little bit more traction.
Agree.
You can no longer allow a team to pick a top 4 in consecutive years or after consecutive bottom 3 finishes. So the long-term tank, I think that's the thing that hurts the sport more than a team like the Jazz who are like, hey, we want to get out of this thing as soon as possible. And there's some teams who are just doing this, and they don't really care if their roster gets that good, but they just like being in that. They like being in the roster or in the what do we call it? What is it again? In the lottery, just because they can say, hey, they do it from a marketing perspective. They're like, we got the number 1 pick. Oh, that's great. We have the number 3 guy. Look at this. Sell some jerseys. Boom. Suns owner Matt Ishbia, by the way, during all of this. I know you were hoping to hear from him.
I was waiting. Glad he chimed in.
Suns owner Matt Ishbia said, tanking is losing behavior done by losers. But he's confident that Adam Silver has the fix. Now, that's bold to be confident in Adam Silver. Not because he's a great commissioner, but just because the commissioner is at the bidding. He does the bidding of the owners. Okay?
Right.
Matt Ishbia saying tanking is a losing behavior done by losers. That's the whole point. They're trying to lose games, dude. Like, come on. But loser behavior.
Are the Spurs losers? Are the Dallas Mavericks losers?
Now, out of the groups,
are the Philadelphia 76ers losers?
They have been quite a bit.
The Pacers were in the finals last
right.
year. They're tanking right now. Is that organization losers?
How about the Charlotte Hornets, who for first time in a long time.
They are losers.
That's what I was going to say.
They have a history of being losers.
They're a loser franchise, but now, like right now, they're like,
but the teams that have benefited the most from the lottery and from tanking are some of the best organizations in the NBA. Are the Oklahoma City Thunder losers, Matt Ishbia?
Now, the Suns, to their credit, they haven't fallen in this category of being...
Outside of making the finals in the post-COVID year, What have the Suns done?
I was going to say,
They had
after
Kevin Durant. What did
I
they do
know.
with Kevin Durant? Losers.
Look, and like Devin Booker, at some point that window's going to close, and he's going to be on a team that has no shot.
Right.
And then Matt Ishbia is going to go, all right.
Making $70 million a year.
Right, and then he's going to go, all right, let's blow this thing up. See what we can do here. And then guess what's going to happen?
Who's the loser
mentality.
now,
Yeah.
Matt?
Then the loser mentality comes up when you get put in that position, which is the position that a lot of these teams are in, including the Jazz, who find themselves in that position not very often, like never. That's why it feels so weird. Now, teams can't pick in the top 4 of the year after making conference finals. I think that like, come on.
Yeah.
Can't be. Like,
And the Mavericks would have been ineligible last year.
Right. Yes. Yes, that's a great point. And so you have a couple of teams the last 2 years who, shucks, are in the lottery.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Lottery odds allocated based on 2-year records in a row. Okay, but don't try it for 3 years because then you're out. You're going to get busted. It basically makes it sound like you can tank for 2 years, and then that's it. But the lottery extended to include the play-in teams as well. Okay, flatten the odds for all the lottery teams, which they've done before. We've seen the flattening of the odds before. You just do it more aggressively, and then there you have it. So any of these that are going to get traction, JJ?
I like no longer allowing a team to pick top 4 in consecutive years. I think that would make a big difference because there's only so many teams that would even be eligible for that one of those top 4 picks. And that's what you really want to do. Now, this year's a rare draft where there's more than 4 players in this draft that are great. But that doesn't happen very often.
Right.
Eliminating a lot of teams from even top 4 consideration. Like, let's use the NHL model, for instance. The Utah Mammoth won the lottery this year. They would have or should have been the second pick in the draft.
They had some barriers in place.
Who won it all? Was it the Islanders who won? Anyway, the other one team won the number 1 pick, and the Mammoth won the 2, but they could only move up 10 spots.
Right.
There's a cap on how far you can move up. That is an idea that the NBA should look at because, and let's give the credit to the NHL, that was an instance where the Mammoth didn't get that number 1 or number 2 pick, which usually would have given them an incentive to tank. They just happened to win. And it discourages a lot of other teams in the NHL to tank because they realize, these other teams can win it and just tanking it doesn't really make it worth it. So there's no tanking. That's even in a sport where, you got to wait 2 or 3 years for the most part for these guys to even make it to the league. So I like that. I like that teams can't pick top 4 of the year after making the conference finals. The Pacers should not be able to do what they're doing right now. That's a good team that just has an injury situation. And what happened with the Mavericks is a different conversation. We don't have time for that. You get what I'm saying. That's a ridiculous trade that happened that caused that problem to occur. And I also do like flattening odds for lottery teams. I don't mind that at all. And the play-in teams I think is good too because you're not decentivized to go make a run and try to get into the play-in. You have a chance to be in the lottery as well.
Now look, the Pacers got fined. What did they get fined, by the way? Was it $100,000? It was $100,000. Yeah, it was $100,000. So not as much as it wasn't as overt, right? That's the new thing.
Not as overt.
Not as overt.
Not as bad as the Jazz. That was egregious.
Yeah. According to
that was bringing into question the integrity of the game.
I know. According to this list, by the way, the Utah Jazz are the second best tanking team in the league. So there you go.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. By the way, top of the hour, anticipating having Bear Tourney, head coach of the Utah Mammoth. Been a minute since we've been able to talk to the coach. We got to knock some dust off of the NHL knowledge in our brains. We got to get that thing fired up. So we'll talk to Bear coming up at the top of the hour. Don't want to miss it. 97.5 EKSL Sports Zone.
Listen, everybody. Real-life hypotheticals to get your brain churning. As JJ and Alex ask, would you rather?
All right, everybody. Welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5 EKSL Sports Zone. Happy Thursday to you. It's always fun to do the Olympic thing. When it's over, though, it's good to get back to, I think yesterday we mentioned, oh, man, I'm missing some Jazz. I'm missing some Mammoth.
Yeah.
I'm missing all sorts of things. So glad to, see everybody kind of getting back to normal here in the next few days. It's a welcome sight because we're not going to be talking about the women's half pipe or any half pipe for that matter. It's just on in the studio right now. They're catching strays. I'm not trying to.
It's a fun watch.
Just right out. No, they're awesome. Let me give you a would you rather. We discussed it a little bit before the show, and I wanted to ask you. And it seems like a dumb question, but I don't know. You let me know. Trade 3 first-round picks for a proven star, or keep all those picks and trust the front office to draft right. Since we're talking about
get the
tanking.
star, which is why what the Jazz just did is so.
They just did that. They got a star. And they gave up how many first-round picks?
How many years have they been going along with all these picks saying we're just waiting and waiting and waiting, and what's been the result? Waiting for a lottery to go your way that never did?
Yeah.
That's fruitless.
Yeah, of course.
How are the Washington Wizards doing with that? They finally gave up on that. They went all in on getting – I think they got the wrong guys.
Yeah.
I mean, be grateful if you're a Jazz fan that the Jazz made the right pick, the right trade instead of the bad trades, like the Wizards did. My goodness. Like the Jazz – did the right thing.
Okay.
And that's why you have to be patient. You know, a lot of people took their shots at Danny Ainge, like the big game hunting thing that didn't happen that first offseason. You if you've ever hunted, you know, you got to be patient and wait for that big buck. It doesn't just walk right in front of you. It takes some time and a lot of scouting and a lot of effort to go find out where it is, and that's what the Jazz did. They patiently waited for that opportunity, and you watch the Grizzlies crumble, and all of a sudden they had a star player available, one of the top 25, 30 best players in the league, and the Jazz just got him.
All right. I got one.
Agree
I got
or
another
disagree?
one. I got one. This was exactly the scenario that the Jazz have had to try to figure out. I'm fine with it. Everybody, by the way, wanted to get a great player because everybody's feeling great about Keontae George. They feel great about Lauri Markkanen. They feel great about the young core that they have going together. Okay, how about this one? Because I was thinking – but now, here's the thing is that this one is actually interesting because, I don't know. You tell me. A national championship in the next 3 years for your team in college football, let's say, or you're a top 5 team every year for the next 10 years. Now, before you get to just saying the national championship, because I know you're going to say that. Think about what being top 5 does for your recruiting long term. I get it. Not winning a championship is tough.
Okay, you have to convince me that being top 5 for over a 10-year period vaults you into blue blood status.
And I'm about blue blood status. It'll actually look like, hey, they're the people who can never get to the dance. They can never actually be there.
And then what's the point then?
Yeah, I get it. Just really good football for 10 years. You know?
Isn't that what we enjoy here in Utah? But
Mostly.
is anybody okay with that?
No, you got to win a natty. All right, we'll take a break. Bear Torney joining us next, head coach of the Utah Mammoth. Cannot wait to start talking NHL again, and they're going to be back in action, of course, after Team USA and the rest of the Olympics return back to their NHL teams. And we'll talk to Bear next. Stay here, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.